Hi, Dr. Dolly. Got a quick question about Roth versus pre-tax assets. Is there a percentage of Roth assets you recommend having when you retire? Would you say roughly 20%? For my simple search, majority recommends investing in pre-tax retirement accounts at the moment, simply in hopes of being in a lower tax bracket when you retire. I really appreciate your guidance on this, and again, thank you for everything that you do.
All right. So is there a percentage of Roth assets that you recommend when you retire? I get this question a lot. A lot of people are like, there must be an optimal mix. It's 23% Roth and 17% tax deferred and the rest taxable or something like that. No, there really isn't an optimal mix. And even if there was, it probably wouldn't be worth the cost to get there. The general rule, and it's only a general rule because there are exceptions, is to use pre-tax contributions as much as you can during your peak earnings years and post-tax for all your other years. Years you're in med school, years you're in residency, the year you come out of residency, any year you take a sabbatical or a lot of paternity or maternity leave or early retirement when you've cut back. Those are all good years for Roth contributions. Super savers are one of those exceptions. You know, if you are going to have this $10 million IRA later in your life, you probably want to put a little bit more of that into Roth than you otherwise would. But for most people, whatever this works out to be is what you're going to get. But one rule that I think is pretty close to being a rule is when you have an option to use a retirement account versus a taxable account, you're usually going to be better off in the retirement account. And even if you think taxes are going up or whatever, you can always do a Roth conversion of that retirement account and have tax-free withdrawals later. But there's lots of ways to get more Roth money into your account. For example, you can contribute to a Roth IRA or a Roth 403b during residency. You can do Roth conversions in med school. If you're a non-traditional student, you can take that money that you brought into med school, do a Roth conversion of it during medical school. When you leave residency, anything you made that was a tax-deferred contribution, you can do a Roth conversion when you leave. You can do backdoor Roth IRAs throughout your career. Some of you have retirement plans that allow you to do a mega backdoor Roth IRA, which is essentially putting in after-tax contributions into your 401k to get you up to that 57 or in 2021, $58,000 per year, and then taking it out and immediately converting it to a Roth. You can do Roth 401k contributions. Your 457 might also have a Roth option. And of course, a lot of people between the time when they retire and the time they start taking Social Security at age 70 do a number of Roth conversions there at a relatively low tax rate. All of that's going to increase your Roth to tax deferred ratio. And of course, most people try to spend their Roth money last. And that also has the effect of increasing the ratio. Of course, there are no RMDs required on Roth IRAs. There are on Roth 401ks, but you can just always roll that money into a Roth IRA. And so, of course, if you have to take RMDs out of a tax-deferred account, but not a Roth account, again, that increases your ratio later in life. And that's usually a good thing for your heirs because your heirs would much prefer to inherit a Roth IRA. If for no other reason than the fact that you can easily stretch that out a full 10 years, pull the money all out at once and not have to play any tax games with it because it comes out tax-free. So lots of good ways to get more Roth money in there. When it makes sense, do Roth conversions or do Roth contributions. When it doesn't make sense, don't do them. But don't aim for some arbitrary percentage that you got to have 20% in Roth or something like that. If you can get 20%, that's great. But you know what? 40% might be right for you too. So it just varies. So keep that in mind. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.